Sup, team? I'm excited about today. I think this will be a fun one. Oh, somebody's here already. Doug? You're late to the party on Obsidian, but becoming a fan. Even later on Hook. Hook, that's an interesting point. Sup, Blake? Hook is one. I have it. I know. I'm friends with the guy who makes it. Derek, welcome. Carly, welcome. Wow, we got a crew here. Stupid work. Just don't work. Easy answer. Pardon me. Hook is one that I should really get a bit deeper into, I think. I think there's a lot of potential benefits to Hook, but I haven't gone far enough into it to be able to like tell you how it should work or ways that I would recommend using it. Yeah, I apologize for that, Carly. It's a bit of a story as far as why I'm switching, but that long story shortened, here we are. The last focus, which one? Which one is that? Is there a new one that's coming out? I'm not good about keeping up with focused. I'm not. Which one is it? Let's see. I just recorded an episode of Focused, by the way. Let me look, see if I can figure out what you're talking about. The professional, the one with Rosemary? See, you and I think alike. Juggling projects, automation, Kanban, keeping the jobby job. I have not listened to this. Effortless, journaling, checklist manifesto, project status board. Ooh, I feel like I should. Obsidian, data view, Kanban. Obsidian versus Rome. I should listen to this one. I like Rosemary. Did Sparky move his status board stuff to Obsidian? Is that what he did? It would not surprise me if he did. We're going to talk about what I'm doing with that today. It is a lot of what we talked about last week. Last week, I feel like we covered a lot of territory. We did. And I'm using kind of a weird setup today to see if we can improve a few things. I'm always fussing with something, it seems like. Yeah, last week I feel like we covered a lot of territory. We need to do one of these streams about using a Stream Deck for productivity. It seems like the Stream Deck has been coming up a handful of times, and I've been using it pretty heavily with OmniFocus and Obsidian. So I think there's a lot of really cool things we could. Fussing is continuous improvement. Sure. I'm fine with calling it that. I am. Well, since we're on YouTube, I have to do the obligatory, if you haven't already, subscribe and hit like. That'll help other people find it here today while we're live. It'll also help people find it after the fact. So you're going to help me out with the whole algorithm thing. So would really appreciate it if you do that. Thanks to you guys. Let's start here because I kind of just want to get going today because Obsidian is one that I feel like we could spend a lot of time on, and using it for a daily log. Yeah, I do some stuff like that too. We'll get there. I've been listening to a number of podcasts. I've watched a number of YouTube videos, and there are a lot of folks who are pretty big into talking about Obsidian, PKMs, all the things, right? And I feel like we need to talk about it again because it just keeps popping up. Thus, today. That's where I want to start, Blake. The email I sent this morning. Obviously, Blake read it. Appreciate you pointing that out. The thing with the email I sent out, so the email newsletter, if you didn't get that, joebulig.com/newsletter is where those come out. That's how you get on the list. If you didn't get on that, go to discourse.joebulig.com, and it's there. Welcome, Carol. So discourse.joebulig.com, you can get the newsletter there if you weren't on the list this morning. And it was written kind of as a here's what's going through my head because this has been coming up a lot. And I even put out a tweet about, I don't even know what did I say? What did I say? I got too many like computer mouse stuff going on here. I put out a tweet because the thing is, like, people are referring to PKM's personal knowledge management systems, and the implication there is that, like, what's implied is that this is a personal version of something else, right? So a knowledge management system. So the question is, this is a personal knowledge management system. What are the non-personal knowledge management systems? And there are a lot of you that replied to that and just pointed a number of these things out. What were some of these? Product lifecycle management systems. And people immediately thought of that whenever it came up. I get like all these book recommendations coming through as well. Organizational knowledge management. Blake, you had the whole transfer piece there. Organizational stuff was coming up a lot. Like, how does this business operate? Oh, you would argue with the hours per day thing. Yeah, I think you're correct. I think I would agree with you. I don't think what I was saying in the newsletter is necessarily... Let me back up. So in the newsletter, I'm basically calling out content creators. They are the ones who are promoting this, right? They're the ones that are just kind of pushing and saying, this is a thing you should be doing. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But keep in mind, that's how they pay the bills. Finding new tools and talking about it over time, showing you systems, showing you how they're using it, that's how they pay the bills. There's nothing wrong with that. What gets to be an issue is when people take that at face value and they copy it, right? And this is a thing where they will regularly talk about the amount of time, like even the content creators will talk about how much time it takes to make this, to get the value out of it, right? And that's where this comment around it takes hours, like you have to put in a number of hours to get the value back out of this. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But what if you don't have that amount of time? Like, I don't have that amount of time. I should, right? Like if like I fit the category of the people who should be doing this, but I don't spend that much time with it because it's just a lot, right? I think I'm with you, Blake, in that if you're not a content creator, you're not a student, and you're not a research person like a professor and such, I don't think you should be putting that amount of time. Like, I don't think it would need that amount of time to get the value back out of it. But people take what the recommendations are from content creators, which is an hour plus a day. Most of the time, it's like 2 to 3 hours is what these guys are actually spending in the tool. Whatever the tool is, whether it's Roam or Obsidian or you name it, that's where a lot of people are getting those numbers from. And I could rattle off a number of these for you if you wanted me to, but I just don't see it as something that's going to warrant that amount of time. I think that's unnecessary and potentially harmful Because if you're taking that at face value and you're spending that much time with it, you're very likely neglecting a lot of other things. Twitter is weird with their latest and home thing. They need to stop. Gonna sign up for Twitter Blue. That makes sense what they're doing with that. Side note. So Obsidian, the newsletter this morning, I figured it would spark a few comments. I've already got a handful of replies from folks on that, and that's fine. That's fine. A couple people taking me to task over it, which is fine. I don't often reply to those, but they're interesting nonetheless. So let's talk about. I want to take you through what I'm doing with Obsidian and what I've learned as someone who's not going to spend hours in it every day. Is that fair? I'll also take you through what I'm doing on a mobile device and how I'm doing that without using the Obsidian official app. Sound good? Yeah, you gotta come back to this one, Malik. All right, let's look at Obsidian. I gotta stand up. Side note, I bought a different set of headphones. These are the Sony 1000 XM4s. But I gotta get like a little Bluetooth receiver that lets me use them with this whole setup, which actually is supposed to come in today. I thought I'd have it by today, but it's not here yet. You replied on Twitter PKMs or PLMs. Yeah, I saw that, Martin. Once you and a few others started replying about that, it made a lot of sense to me that these sorts of things do exist. So maybe the concept of a personal knowledge management system makes sense. Maybe that term is okay. It just seems a bit like I don't know. I think I just don't like trying to term something that already exists something else. But maybe I'll change my tune over time. And that's fine. All right. Here is my home note for Obsidian. And I'm not one of these people that has like a super cool home note, obviously. And I have one link, and that's to my Kanban. I will take you through that here in a little bit, but I want to walk through some of the other things I've been using with it first, okay? PLM in all your jobs that is user-friendly, though. Trying to find one that is. I feel like any sort of knowledge management system is difficult to use. It's just my opinion. I've used a lot of them, too, now that people have helped me understand what they're calling that. I get it. I do. I use a few things in Obsidian. I want to look at what the most common one is that I'm using, and that is the Today Note. So I do use this Today plugin, the Daily Note plugin, and this is what I populate into this. Obviously, there's a lot here, and I'm super lazy with this because this is just a text expander snippet that dumps all this in here. Here's what that looks like whenever it's actually previewed. Welcome, Kristen. Obsidian feels way more than any note system you've ever used. Yeah, I'm with you. It feels like it should be beyond notes, but PKM, I don't know if that's the right term for it. And I think it's because if you were to use it for thinking, which obviously in the sidebar here you can see I have that, But there are a lot of other things that you can use it for that might be beyond that. It's the thing with it is that it's so fluid. It reminds me a lot of the early Evernote days. Do you remember that? Like back when Evernote first came out, I have one of these, like a setup and workflow type blog post. If you find articles on Evernote setups, there are thousands of these, hundreds of thousands of these at this point. There are so many of them. Obsidian, this feels very similar to that, to me, in that it's so flexible and there's so many different things that you can do with it that it's sometimes hard to explain what you should or shouldn't do with it, right? I'll explain the daily note here, Carly. But the beauty of it is just what Douglas is saying. You can use so many tools with this and do a lot outside of Obsidian. Like you're not locked into Obsidian because you have access to the full text file setup behind it. That's the part that I really like. That were it not for that, we wouldn't be having this stream today. We wouldn't be doing this at all. This particular text expander snippet is rather involved. It dives into a number of like shell script scenarios. This piece here at the top, that piece is all pure. Can I even get, let me see if I can show you this. Welcome to Text Expander. I have a ton of stuff in here. If we go to, where is it? Obsidian. There's a lot going on here, right? Let's go to daily. This is what that snippet looks like, which is a lot. The main thing here is it's creating all of these links at the top. Okay, so let's look back here. It's creating all of these links automatically just by the way that it's inputting the text there. If you go back here, where it starts to get a bit weird is when you get to this piece here. It's just doing some date calculations to get me these percentages and such. That's all that is. And then I'm using like verse of the day, quote of the day, a calendar script, 4 different weather scripts. That's all I'm doing. Okay, it's nothing. I mean, it's a little involved to get it all set up, but it's not some big ridiculous thing, I guess. With data view, starting to feel like a database. See, this is where it's starting to get a little interesting. I'll talk about this here in a little bit, but I have, and I can't show you these because they're a bit sensitive, but I have some notes on people, kind of like a CRM of sorts. And there is a lot that you could do with that. Like you could use it as a full-on communications management system because of things like data view and the way you can pull data out of it. It's really interesting. So we'll see. Yeah, the templater, you combine that stuff. Yeah. See, I don't like the graph view. So, okay. Let's start with graph view. I'll work my way down here. I don't understand graph view. People love this. I don't even know what this is getting ready to do. Here's what Joe's looks like. Lots of orphans. What is this? Dates. 2021. Yeah, because I have a bunch of notes that tie to each other in that sense. There's one little thing here. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. Where was I? Here. I mean, people like the graph view, but I haven't figured out what it gains me. Like, what do I actually do with that? Finding the orphans, maybe? What is keeping P? I don't know what that is. Templater goes further than anything you could do with text expander. See, I'm the opposite. I felt like text expander could do significantly more than templater because I tried using templater, but I was trying to drop in like shell commands for it, and it wasn't working because the environment location between templater and text expander was so different that it fell on its face regularly. So I was like trying to reinstall things in a lot of different places, and it just was not working out. Where's my mouse? So that said, I don't use templater at all. I even uninstalled it. I probably should re-explore it, but either I don't understand it or it's just not, I'm not the right audience for it. One of those two. Structured data. You can kind of get there. I think that getting it exported and making it usable is a bit dicey, but I feel like they're getting there. Which is weird to say considering it's just markdown files. And I'm with you, Martin. It is more just eye candy. I get that. That's kind of where I land. Outside of being able to find the ones that aren't connected, but there are other ways to do that. Includes in text expander, like including another snippet. Maybe. That's kind of, I mean, that's what my daily note is populated with, is it's including a bunch of other pieces. YAML, you can do front matter, which is where some of that stuff can come in. Like, you start your notes with this, like your normal front matter setup. I don't even know what this would be. Let's just pick one here. I'm using you, Kristen. This is not how I would format this. But you get what I mean. You could do all of this in the front matter side of it. That would then make it fairly usable. But I think you can also do this. I just realized I have like some colliding pieces. But like the double colon thing does something with like the search mechanisms. Oh, you can write YAML into templater. And then you can structure it all. Sure. Yeah, I could see that. But now you're getting into the weeds again. This is like trying to force something on it that it's not really made for. But there's a lot. There's a lot you can do there. Okay. I use it for daily notes. Now, what I'm using this for is purely kind of a rundown of what's going on today. A lot of people use the daily note as like a log of here's what I did that day. This is the opposite for me. I use it as what is going to happen today. Like, what do I have scheduled for today? And then I will pull this up, preview it, and then I just kind of read through this first thing in the morning just to kind of tell me what's the weather going to be, what all do I have planned, kind of set the tone with quotes and verses. This is a good reminder of how far into the year and month are we. So I find those as kind of a helpful Helpful reminder. Okay. I love weeds. Being drug into a jungle. I like it. Something else I use, and part of the thing, and this is a bad day to look at, if I have a meeting, this is my wife's, I put these on here just so that it's easier for me to see what she has, and then it kind of sets up what I can work around too, because I'm a little more flexible than she is. But let's say that this is a meeting that I'm going to go to, and I am likely to take notes on it. A lot of times I will take those notes on Notepad, right? Usually this one, or I'll put it in my bullet journal. But a lot of times I'll come back from that meeting and then put those notes into Obsidian. And what I will do is I will take this and set it up like this. I will alter this thing. And now I have a link to that. I can open that, and now this becomes a place that I can drop text into. And I'm good to go. Does this work? Yeah. I have, in Text Expander, I have some lipsums that are like Star Wars. So it just drops in boilerplate Star Wars text. There's that. Great fun. So anyway, I will do that, and then you'll notice it has me linked back to that daily note. But then as I have this note open, I always know it's easy to get to the notes from that day. So I do that quite a bit from this daily note. That's how I set those up. Some of the entry from other tools, from calendars. You know, I could. You know, this calendaring piece here is, I mean, I can manually drop this in. If I type in obs.cal, you see it pulls that in. That's all that master Text Expander snippet is doing, is just running those in detail. I would love a link to that, Kristen. I would love to see how you're doing this, because there's a lot of ways that you can do it, right? So that's what I will do whenever I have meeting notes that I'm going to take, whenever I'm trying to dump those in here. I do have, if I go to this bin, well, let's walk through this, because I feel like that might be helpful as I get into. That's fine. It can be a while, Kirsten. Just curious. So inbox is where I start. I put an inbox in like every tool, because I never know what I'm going to dump into, and it's stuff that I'm going to work through. And there's two different places that I use to dump things into this. One is drafts. So I have a drafts action that will dump things straight into Obsidian in this inbox. And then the other is Pinboard. If I mark an article, if I save an article to read later in Pinboard, I have a Zapier zap, an action that will take those, dump them into Obsidian, and then mark it as read. That way it doesn't stay in my read later list in Pinboard, and then they end up in here. So I have a lot in here currently that I want to work through, and here's why. Here's why I do this. And this is a bit of some dangerous territory, because having things come into this, and all this is, let me pick one here. What is this? Callback URLs in Obsidian. Here you go. All this is the link. And what I'm Multi-word tags and pinboard. Dashes are your friends. I will take this link, open the link, read it, and the intent is to do one of two things. I will either delete this file, okay? Because I decide I don't actually want to do anything with this. Or what happens occasionally is I will write a blurb about what I think about it. Usually what happens is I will start a new note and I will write what I think about it, and I will drop a link into it with this. So as an example, let's take this. I'm going to start a new note. Let's call it Thoughts on Obsidian Callback URLs, okay? And just going to drop in a paragraph of text. And let's say somewhere in the middle here, I'll mention the suite setup, okay? And I've dropped that in to this note, right? So now I've written a text about that particular source, and I have a link to it in this from here, okay? If I go back to this, because I can get there easily now, this particular page I want to hold on to because I'm referring to it. Now, the trick is that I'm not super happy with how I'm doing this. Yes, this will be recorded, and it'll be on YouTube as soon as I'm done here. It will not be unlisted. It's available immediately. So what I've been doing in the past is I create that link, right? It comes back to this note, and then I would move this to a sources folder and come back to it. And what I've realized is that's actually kind of dumb. I mean, it's a cool idea. Like, you've got one level of abstraction, right? But I'm better off. What I've learned to do in recent weeks is I will copy this, and I'm cheating because my mouse has two buttons on the side of it that I've mapped to copy paste. Highly recommend that. If you ever do that, this is what is it? It's a Razer Death Adder, and it's got the two buttons inside on your thumb. I just got them to copy paste. Pro tip. So I will select this, copy it like that. This is what I'm doing now. And instead of dropping this in like so, I oftentimes, because I'll leave that in existence, drop it in like this. And now it's a hyperlink to the World Wide Web, right? So I'm just doing a little bit of the cleanup and stuff there. So that's what I end up doing instead now, which does help me quite a bit. So anyway, that's what this inbox is. It's a way of like introducing new things so that I can start the process about my thinking and thinking it through. That's what it's for. Let me get this selected. What you're seeing when I do that is me cheating. I've got a button on my Stream Deck that's delete, and it will take whatever note I have. I better not do that. It'll take whatever note I have selected. I don't even know what it does. It like pulls up the command palette and says delete the note, and then it's gone. I think there's another way to do that though. Yeah, because there's no hotkey assigned to it, and I don't really want to do that. Is what it is. All right, so working down this list. All right, so I've got the inbox. That's what that is. It's a way of prompting me in the process of starting new things. Indexes is kind of one that I'm working through and trying to figure out how I'm going to use this. A lot of people like to make these maps of content, and I don't understand it quite yet. Welcome, Michael. People get really, really excited about their maps of content. And I think I understand it. I shouldn't say that. I understand what they're doing. They are making a thing that lets them have a jumping off point about that idea. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just a bit strange to me. Because I think it's like yes, it's like a mini index. It's like a written out index. And that's why I don't think and maybe I'm just not deep enough into this yet. I've watched a lot of videos about it, and I'm just not there. So I have this called indexes. I suppose that'd be indices. And I started one for content with the intent of like listing out what content pieces I'm currently working on, but I've since used the kanban for that. So thus kanban is there. But I could see how as I get, and some of this is I don't have enough notes to warrant this yet. So I think I will eventually get back to that. Assets is just what it sounds like. These are just picture files for books and wines and such. That's a really good one, by the way. So these are just picture files, and I have it set up to just dump them into this assets folder just to get them out of the way and have them in a single place. You can do that in the settings. Where does this even go? Files and links, I believe. Where is it? There it is. Attachment folder path. So if you just drag something into it, it will dump the file into that folder and then give you a link to it. That's what that is. Bin, I want to come back to, because that's where I have a lot of stuff. Content is exactly what it sounds like. These are like pieces of content that I've written. Like here's the original article that I wrote about using a Shabbat to stay intentional. Card catalog from January 2021. I'm almost done with the one for May. I'm behind on it. I've been bad at those. Pieces of content. I've got the outline I'm using today because I figured out how to have two different Obsidians open at the same time. I'll come back to that one too because I'm cheating significantly on that. So anyway, content, and then thinking. I don't have a ton in here, right? But this is where I've started the process of building out my thoughts on things. This is like what people talk about when they talk about building a linked system. This is where I'm building that out. Very, very slowly. That's not in quotes. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Then I have the home note that I still can't figure out what I want to do with. Okay. Those are a lot of what I'm using in here. Let's go back to bin because I skipped over that. There's a lot in here. And I think I'm going to get rid of a lot of this. Save like this. Right? So this is like a system that people have been using to put the Bible into Obsidian. This is how I'm getting, like on the daily, you'll notice this is actually an embed. But whenever I do this, it pulls it in. It's because the whole Bible is there in the system. Dated is just what it sounds like. It's all of my dated today notes. That's where I keep all of those. I also put like meeting notes and such in there. If there's something that I did specifically on that day that has to do with that date, it goes in there. People, that's what it sounds like. That's like the CRM thing that I can't show you, but it's a list of people that I've taken notes on. I am not opening two vaults at the same time. I am opening the exact same vault in two different places at the same time. That's what I'm doing. Cheating, Martin. These are two small lists, and this is why I think I'm going to end up removing some of these folders, that being one. Because, like, here's a packing list, right, of what I take whenever we go on a trip. There's a lot there. And this has saved me I don't know how many times. I mean, look at what I keep track of to make sure I have in my backpack. Right? There's a lot here. And this, I can print this off whenever I'm going to go somewhere that I can just actually cross things off it's super, super nice to have. Is YouTube being weird? It says it's struggling, but the stream software says it's solid. I don't know, it looks like it's fine. What are you telling me, YouTube? YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Viewers will experience buffering. I don't know what the glitch is, though. I don't know. I'll let it be. It says it's fine on the encoder. All right, I'll let it be for now. I'll keep an eye on it. All right, so I've got the list, right? I do print this off and then I cross things off whenever I'm actually doing the packing and such. So that's what I do. It's kind of helpful. This is like an log. This is intense if you understand it. I just kind of wanted to hold on to this because I didn't know where to put it. Whenever I was fighting Lyme disease, this was all the stuff that I had to take at one time. So each one of these was a new thing I started taking. And then, what is that? It's 17 different things. And I was taking it every single day for months. It was a mess. But I beat it. So there's that. Sources, this is that thing I was talking about a little bit, but I have a shortcut on my phone that will take an ISBN number and create a new source in here. I don't use this a lot, but it's nice whenever I'm referencing books. I have found it super helpful to be able to reference books multiple times on this system. And whenever I do this, it drops in the picture and such. It gives me the day that it was published, which in this particular case, I do have a today note for that day, but it drops in the text. I don't know what all I'm using this for, but it's super interesting to have. Wine, I just dropped one in because I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, because I feel like having a wine database in here would be nice. But again, trying to figure out how to make all that work. Stories, again, just one. Parable of the Mexican Fisherman and the Investment Banker. It's a thing. And then some how-to documents. So what I'm getting at here is that when I get to people, lists, sources, wine, stories, how-to, I start to wonder if I should be tagging them or finding some other way to do it, because just trying to create a different folder for everything seems excessive. And I haven't quite figured out what to do with it yet. So this we'll have to do an update thing at some point. But right now, I'm gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna refresh this thing over here. Just so I can make sure I've got something going. So that's what I have in the bin. Now, the thing I was talking about, like getting two things open at once, because right now, okay, I have a list of, I have an outline that I'm working off of today for the stream. I have it open over here in Obsidian, but I'm showing you this screen over here, right? So you can see this, but what I started doing, and part of the reason I'm experimenting today, is I have this other iMac that sits on this desk. It's not mine, but they're letting me use it. And it actually will work out well for an encoder. So I'm using it to do the encoding for the stream, and I decided to use my Linux machine as kind of a monitoring tool today. So over here I have Linux with Obsidian on it, and I have my notes database there. That's how I'm doing that. So that way I can get these, like I can show you this side of it, but I can see my notes and maintain a visual there as well. So that's what I'm doing, and it seems to be working okay. I continue to push things a little bit further than I should, thus kind of the issues I run into occasionally. So all that to say, I am cheating. I've got the Linux machine over here. I've got the visual I'm showing you. I do not have sync enabled. I suppose we could talk about that. I use the GitHub plugin. So I have all of my, where's this at? Here. So I have all of my notes using this GitHub backup, Git backup plugin. And I have it to where it's backing up every 5 minutes. I didn't know it could auto pull. That must be a new one. That's good to know. Let's change that. I would like that on. So that syncs automatically to GitHub every 5 minutes. Not knowing that I could auto pull. On the Linux machine, I've just got the command palette set up to where you can pin. So like this is the command palette. You notice like Obsidian Git is in here. I can tell it to pull from that, and I pinned that. And that means that I can just use the mouse and then I can do the pull on that, because I don't do a lot of editing on the Linux machine. It's mostly just a reader, so I'm not terribly concerned with it getting the data from that to my Mac. So I'm not super concerned about it. Anyway, GitHub Sync. That's what I'm using there, which is kind of fun. But I'm definitely going to be setting up the auto pull, because that would go a long ways too. CloudKit. Now, let's come back. We need to go back to what we were talking about last week with Macsparky's project status board. Somebody mentioned earlier that Sparky is potentially using the kanban in Obsidian now. Can anybody confirm that? I haven't. I don't know. Does he have it on his site? Macsparky.com. Did he post it here? 14th. Oh, he's just touting Mike's thing. Yeah, OmniFocus 4. I don't think he has it up here. I don't see it, dude. So if anybody can tell me where that's at, I'm all ears. In an episode on one of his podcasts. I'm listening. I'm in the middle of the Obsidian Deep Dive podcast that he did with Steven. So maybe it's in there. I should finish that in the next day or two, so I'll have to let you know next week. Vitici, I know, has been playing around with Obsidian too, yeah. It amazes me how many people are talking about it. It was after the Obsidian deep dive. What was the... What are some of them after that? Where's it at? Mac power users. Sal Sagoyan. So it would have been iPhone productivity or Sal Sagoyan. Wait, where's 587? Oh, catching up with Casey Liss. That's in there too. Never mind. Those are just the ones I have downloaded. Spring loaded. Everything fades to black. Yeah, so there's a few of them in there. I'm not a completionist when it comes to Mac Power Users podcasts. But let me show you what I'm doing here, because like last time we talked about, oh, you are using I'm done. I have looked into that. Here. So this is what I've built out at this point. And this is what I normally keep up on the Linux machine. Now, oftentimes I have it looking like this when it's on the Linux box. And it is interesting that, like, yes, this is the view, but you can look at the actual raw markdown here, and this is what it looks like underneath of that. And it's like they're using the front matter there to tell it that it's a Kanban board, and then it's all in place from there. Oh, that's right. You got to do open as a Kanban board. I'm done is fiddly to learn. I feel like this is a plugin. Yeah, Michael. I feel like this is a lot more my style. Yeah, you can use a template when you're creating notes from the Kanban cards. Like, I'm specifically setting this up to make these notes so that whenever I click on them, they take me to the note for that, which is nice because then I can easily get to like the outline and stuff. Like if I go to this, like this is what we're in right now. There you go. There's my outline for today, okay? But then I've got this all right here. One of the things that I was very curious about this, because Sparky's system for the project status board seemed like it had a lot of extra work for potentially very little gain. And I wondered if it would be worthwhile to me. After having this set up for roughly a week, I can tell you that it's still debatable. And it's because I like having this open, but I'm not good about having regular time to work on these things. So I'm in the middle of like a lot of compiling of things. Yes, his status board was in OmniGraffle. So this is one that I think I'm still wondering about. Oh, so if you drop I'm done into a dev project, it pulls out the to-do and fix me comments. Interesting. That's pretty slick. That one, I could see that being super helpful. That could be a big deal. I could see that one, Kristen. I would have to put to do and fix me's in it, though. Like the bug comments, I would have to put those in. I never do that. I'm terrible. This is probably why I've never gone to work as a developer for a company. Because like some of the smaller habits like that, I'm bad at. I am very aware of it. This whole Kanban board fad, I shouldn't say fad. There are a lot of people talking about Kanbans right now. you're an over commenter, then you and I balance each other out. I'm a non-commenter. I think that I locked my phone unnecessarily. We need to get to that. Like how I'm doing it on my phone too, because I don't use the Obsidian app for it. I have found this interesting to have this open all day and having it just there, right? I can't say that's ever something I would have thought to do. And I think Sparky's a smart dude when this is all put together. Because, you know, he came up with this idea to have this status board, and then I think he leaves it at full screen on one of his monitors. And having that visual at any given time and being able to go over and just click on one of the icons to take you to a specific piece of a project. Like, the speed with which you can operate there is pretty solid, right? He has too many monitors, for sure. You skim the latest episode of Focus with Rosemary. David mentions that he's been using the kanban within Obsidian for the last couple weeks. Does he say what he's using it for? I should have asked him about it. I just recorded a focused episode with them last Friday. Which I'm a little bummed it's going to be behind their paywall. We finally got Mike to read a fiction book. And we recorded an episode on it for Focused. I really wanted it on Bookworm, but it was Sparky's idea to do, and Sparky's the one that talked him into it, so had to go with it. I'll take it where I can get it, though. Not gonna argue, that's for sure. But yeah, I would be curious to know like what he's using it for. Thanks for the timestamp, by the way. And I think something like this kanban and Obsidian can make things simple. Like, I like it because I can just click the title of it and it takes me to the note for it. That's why I'm a fan. Rosemary mentioned it. It's kind of nuts to me how flexible it is, Martin. But I'm with you in the whole prettiness factor. I did a little bit of styling on it myself to make it look the way I have it. I'm running my own custom theme on Obsidian, so that's where some of this look comes from. But this particular styling on the cards, that's mine. It's smooth, though. You want to create a status board using YAML in Obsidian and visualize it with data view. That would be interesting. I like the drag and dropness of it. The built-in one here. I shouldn't say built, the plugin one. I wonder if you could tie the two together. Like if you use data view alongside this kanban board, could you make a data view but then switch and then use this to manipulate it and then have a visual deal? What is YAML? Oh, what is what was bouncing? I missed it. Oh, probably the Do app. Yep, I was right. It's reminding me. What does YAML stand for? I forget. YAML ain't markup language. I was thinking it was kind of meta-ish. It's kind of a way of storing data in a text file format. This is what YAML looks like. You have a name, a colon, and then you'll have these bullet points underneath of it. That's pretty much it. And they can be nested, of course, like this. Human-friendly data serialization standard for all programming languages. Yeah, I can't get YouTube to let links through. I don't know why that is. Can I do it? Wikipedia. Should probably just do YAML Wikipedia and it would be faster. Now I'm curious. Oh wait, I can't get over to that chat because that's a different computer. Well, there's that. Yeah, YAML can go to JSON and back. Let me try this. Oh wait, I gotta switch my keyboard over. That's the trick. Like the way I do this, I have two mice. One is my Mac, one is the Linux box. But I have a KVM that lets me switch my keyboard over to this Linux machine. Now, let's see if it'll let me paste something in. Yeah, it'll let me. But that, I would expect that. Since I'm the owner of the stream. All right, bye, Carly. Yeah, the whole security thing is a mess. Like, I get why Twitch allowed it, but I also get why YouTube doesn't allow it. Okay, kanban. One of the things that I am still working through, and I mentioned this earlier, is tags. Because there's so many ways to try to organize Obsidian in your text files. And I haven't found my method. Like, it's very, very messy at the moment. If you're into, like, Kristen and Martin and Michael, like, you guys are into this whole data formatting thing, like, you're probably aware, like, this is very messy, what I have here, and I don't like that. I wish I could make it cleaner, but I don't think I have enough in it to warrant that, and I don't like tons of metadata. Like what we've been talking about, like YAML, JSON, yeah, using templater, and becoming dependent on those things for this whole system is one I'm not super comfortable with. And I say that because I've got a lot of work that is accessible in things like Sublime Text or NV Ultra or TextEdit, NV Alt. Like, I do still jump from tool to tool with these notes. I'm not 100% in Obsidian. So I think at this point, my next steps are going to be like taking things out of, like, trying to take this, because like I don't like that I have the dates on these, so I need to clean that up. I want to take all of this and where's this one? I knew this had this here because I've got like the tags in the front matter at the top, and I just don't care for that. I think what I should do is this. But see, even that, I don't like having the sweet setup there. So I think if I do that, and then I get rid of this, I kind of like having the link to where the final product is there at the top. This can become helpful. But see, like this one has, now that's interesting. It has that versus this. So, okay, I didn't realize it would do that. It treats those differently when they're in the content of the note versus in the front matter. You imported random notes, trying to migrate them. Doing the cleanup process? Yeah, I could see that. I could see it being a long process, that's for sure. But you know, the whole tagging thing is one that but a lot of people who do the tagging piece and who get into that are ones who just dump everything in one folder, right? In the content, you can directly jump to it, so you can jump to the paragraph that is tagged. So if I'm tagging the entire note and not just the paragraph, would it make sense to put it in the front matter at the top? Do you get what I'm saying, Eric? Anybody can answer that. You get what I'm trying to discover here. It's like, what are the cleaner ways to tag things? Yes, when they're in the front matter, you don't put the hashtag on them. So then if I, okay, so if I do that, that looks the same. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Like that's, I feel like I should, and this is where should gets in the way a lot, right? I don't know what a good use of tags is, I guess. Like here's one I'm working on. And I do this at the top. But because of the way I'm doing that, you can tag, like find any content. I suppose that if I do that, there's no point in putting all of that content stuff in a folder. People use inline tags for finding specific blocks and larger notes. I feel like I would break the note down. Thanks, Eric. You make me feel better. I don't know what to do. This is the hard part with this, right? And honestly, this reminds me a lot of the days of Evernote too. Evernote had a similar situation where you could do tons of notebooks and you could tag things, right? And people got to the point where they were tagging notes in Evernote and were ignoring notebooks altogether. I did that. And but the problem with Evernote was it was a dump it in and don't ever look at it again scenario. So I struggled with it. But this, I feel like, could be significantly better. Yeah, like I've got these at the top. Because I felt like that was the way I should do it. It's literally bare, where it's all just in one thing and then it's all tagged. It's been a while since I've looked at Bear. Right? Is it bearapp.com? Nope, it's not. I don't know why I typed in iOS. Panda? Oh, that's right. They did do... Yeah, it was just tags for everything. That's right. Maybe that's what I'm headed towards. You know what I mean? Like I even did, like I did some searching here on the forums for a while. I had to specifically go to this knowledge management because it was more about like, what are the practices you should use here? It kind of bugs me that they have a case for MLCs at the top. Yeah, wait. Here. Tags in the era of YAML front matter abundance. In the existence of YAML front matter is a significant part of the note content. Yeah, so this is what people are doing for front matter. I mean, look at this. This is intense. All in the front matter. That's before they get to the note itself. And I can't quite figure out if that's the route I want to go. But I feel like I need to decide early, but maybe I don't. There's a plugin that they have that lets you change things. Do you know what I'm talking about? Workspaces, publish sync. It's like a converter. Okay, I can't see it. You want front matter at the end? Audio recorder. Was it a community plugin? No, that was it. I saw it. Refactor. That's what this is. This is what I was thinking of. It lets you like change things. Yes, change things. This is what I was trying to come up with. But there's a whole bunch of, like, there's a ton. Anyway, there's a lot to this one. But I know that you could use it for like reconfiguring things, and you could take like any of the tags in the note and put them into front matter. But this is, I think this gets into like some violation of some of the core goals that I have for a note making system. And that is that I want my tool to not have issues if I switch to a different tool. Like, I want my notes to still come along for the ride. And I know that the way that you drop links and stuff into Obsidian can be transferred to other tools. I know that. But using things like front matter, you could write some things to pull that out. But just putting a hashtag with it on it somewhere in the body, I feel like is a little more future-proofed than trying to rely on front matter formatting. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I think that if you were to use the front matter structure heavily, I think that's a bit of a problem long term. Front matter tags is a good way to do it if you have atomic notes. Maybe. meaning they're super small, right? But that would also, I think, be a scenario that you are what am I trying to say? You're tagging every single note. I'm not. I have no intention of doing that. I'm mostly trying to figure out if I get rid of this search thing, not what I wanted. How do I get back to, apparently I don't do this. How do I get rid of, say, these? That's what I think I'm debating. You're using this way to finally learn JS properly. I guess I don't follow how that translates to this. Front matter conversion is not a problem. Extract the YAML and other tools. Other tools use it too. Should not use jargon. Sure. You're dealing with a Luddite when it comes to this. So here's, that's a good point. Jekyll uses front matter, and I use that pretty heavily. I do use front matter a lot in Jekyll. That's a very solid point, Eric. I think if you, I mean, it's not bad, right? To do that. Oh, I get what you're saying, Kristen. I'm with you now. Using the templating structure as a way to learn JavaScript. But if I take lists, sources, this wine piece, stories, how to, and I make those into tags and then drop them all into one folder. Well, people too, I guess. And for that matter, dated. Because if you go to this, I do this right now. And then those are all my daily notes. These have that alias, or like this front matter format, because I changed which way I was doing it at one point. But they do show up differently here. And you're right, it does select it when I do that. Which makes me think that's probably not the way I want to do it. Because I'm not necessarily trying to go to a specific location in it. I'm just trying to tag the entire note. Which would make me, gosh, Eric, come on. Why you gotta do this to me? That makes me think that using the front matter method is probably the right way to do it. I suppose it does save these. So doing it like this would be the better way to do it. Yeah, because this takes me straight to the bottom, and I don't really want that. I would rather it like that. Ugh. Huh. Well, I think I just answered my question. And I do know that having like the slash is like sub tags, right? So this is like tagging it with content, and article is a sub tag of content. So I can do that already. I get that. You can do the commas and set them in there. Kristen, would that get your multi-word tags solved? Like if you did nested tags? Front matter parses tags for tag search. I have not found the TFM Parses tags for tag search. If you create a note in Project X folder and add a template, the template grabs properties and values from the folder's metadata YAML file. Oh. I think you might have, in one comment, helped me understand what your templater thing can do. So, all right. What would that be? I think I uninstalled it. Is it a core plugin? Templater? Yes. Templates? No, this is different. Isn't it? Because it's called Templater, correct? Yeah. I do have it installed. I'm smart. That's what it is. I have it off here. Let's turn this one off. Where'd it go? There it is. Templater. Gosh, but there's a lot to this thing. Templates and templater. Got it? Thanks. I'm slow. What is system commands? Oh yeah, this is where I was trying some of this. And these fail. They don't work. I should get them out of here so that I don't try them. They don't work because the shell commands don't carry the environment correctly. And yeah, and like maybe they do now because like this is in here and I don't remember seeing this before. Bin bash new user function. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with this now. This thing is super intense. I know that. What you're gonna open over here? Shell commands, that's where I spend most of my time with this sort of thing. It's interesting to me that this is a big enough deal that they have a whole site for it. So then, okay. File, title, web, daily quote, blah, blah, blah. Creation. Let's see. I suppose I could try to... Here, I'm not going to do this now, but I could try to take my daily note text expander deal and then set this up, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, team, the daily notes can use a template, right? Yeah, so you could drop in a file to use as a template, but that's not templater though. Those are two different things, right? That's what you're telling me? You're doing it through template or JavaScript functions. Yeah, people do a ton. iCalBuddy is what I'm using with my daily note text expander snippet. So if we just go obs.daily, it does take it a second here. Is it gonna go? Oh, it's probably gonna fail because I have internet turned off for text expander. Oh no, I got it. I got it. So like it just dumps that in, right? There's a lot to it, but dedicated channel in the Obsidian Discord for templater. Did you get iCalBuddy to work with it, Eric? I couldn't get it to work. I'm on the Discord. I need to show you how I'm doing this on iOS. I gotta get there. Let's see. There it is. Plugins. Is it under the advanced? Is that what this is? Plugin advanced, or do they have a dedicated one for templater? Yeah, they just have plugin advanced. I think that's what you mean. Periodic notes. Oh, Kristen, I see you on the Discord there. Let me show you. Let's go to my phone. If I can find the button. Here we go. Welcome to my phone. Oh. Includes ETA. So what I use, if you look at the very top, working copy. Welcome to Joe's iPhone. Inside working copy, I have the notes repository here, right? Now, I can see on my Mac that it just updated with Git just now. So if I update this, now I'm caught up. So now this has everything that my Mac has on it. And then I can do any editing I want here. That's all I'm doing. Right? There's a lot that you can do. But this is the full deal, right? And then I can make any edits I want from there. But I mean, it doesn't have all the fancy stuff, but I don't want it to. But this is how I'm, like I mentioned earlier, the sources thing with like dropping in the book notes and such. That particular piece is done from my phone. I just take a picture or scan the ISBN number with a Siri shortcut, and then it does this whole process of putting a text file in working copy here, and then I can push it, pull it down on my computer. It's like a whole manual sync process, but I'm fine with that. This isn't a thing that I'm doing a ton. It can make iCloud folders for other apps. It's so true. It's like, hey, you want to be able to sync something? Here you go. Let me make a place for you. Makes it simple. Anyway, that's all I do on my phone. It's not anything super special. Working copy, I do a ton of work on that. They often have dependencies like Node or shell scripts, so they don't translate to iOS. Yeah, it's true. But I don't think, you know, I don't think that that's a downside for me. Templates folder doesn't exist. I gotta play with templater. I'll do that this afternoon. I gotta go here anyway, but there's a ton, right? I guess, you know, my point is today, Obsidian is becoming more and more a tool that I use, and I get why people are excited about it. I do. I follow a number of folks who talk about it regularly. We didn't even talk about shortcuts, like the hotkeys and stuff I use, because I use a ton. We'll do that another day. And I've reprogrammed a number of them to match what I do elsewhere. Yeah, I expect Obsidian will stick around for me. It reminds me a lot of the Evernote days where there's a lot to learn with it. a lot of places you could go with it. And there are many, many, many much uses for it. That's what I've decided. But I think I have my structure bad. I think there's poor uses of it in my case. I'll stop. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell button down below. That helps me out tremendously. I'm in the process of building out and learning how to make shorts for YouTube. I have 2 or 3 YouTube videos that I've started writing and have been streamlining the time that I spend editing those things. I actually pulled out and did some work on working without apps again. I'm getting there on some of this. I've been trying to curb some of the whole procrastination, motivation things. I've been learning a lot about it, and I feel like it would be helpful to teach some of that as a way to help me learn some of those things. So that's kind of what I'm working towards, and making these things a regularly scheduled time to work on them, because I do have places where I can do that, and I'm trying to be better at it. There you are. We'll get there. Okay, I got a split. Thanks to everyone who joined today. This Wednesday, I have Dave Kalo on analogjoe.com. That'll be a fun time. This Friday, we are doing Bookworm, so check out the Bookworm YouTube channel for that one. And then next Monday, we'll be right back here. Same place, same time. We will get things buttoned up. I've got to get some things buttoned up from a channel stance. And we'll keep trucking forward. Thanks again, team, for joining today. And I'll catch you again soon. Bye, all.